Welcome to Dice Tower Live.
All right, everybody, and welcome back. If you were with us this morning, going through the top 100 games of 2018. And now we're doing part 2, where we're going through numbers 50 through 1. So let me get out my list here. As I'm doing this, a couple things. Yes, I realize that there's 100 games is a lot to talk about, but I also think there was that many great games that came out over the year. A lot of times people tell me that, oh, you think this was a mediocre year? I guess more great games came out in 2018 than came out during the whole 1990s, as a whole. And yes, there's still some great 1990 games that are played and still great games that came out then. But the fact is that we have a plethora of games to talk about and play these times. So anyhow, we're going to be talking here, continuing on through the list. This list is being done live, so if you're watching live and you have a question for me about what we're going through, then feel free to ask it there. I also realized for some reason this seemed to be scheduled to go off at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which was incorrect. It's actually Eastern Standard Time. So that was fixed. So some of you may be not here on time because of that. My apologies. So let's get started here with number 50. Let's start with something small, but a game that I really enjoyed after I played it, and that is Illusion. Illusion is a game that's very similar to Timeline, in which you take these cards and you need to put them in order. And so you have these cards, you can see them here with all sorts of different gobbledygook of colors on them, red, green, yellow, and blue. And you'll say red, with the arrow pointing this way. Does this card have more red on it than this card? Does this card have more red on it than this card? Where does this card go? At the end or in between? And then once you say, no, Susan messed up there, you can flip the cards over and find out, and it will tell you what percentage of that card is red, green, blue, and yellow. It works really well. It's a lot of fun, and I find that people enjoy this more than they enjoy Timeline, actually. So number 50 is Illusion. All right, let's jump into a game that's slightly heavier. Number 49 is a game from Z-Man Games that came out earlier this year around Origins time frame, and is a game about building the dikes in Lowlands. So Lowlands is a Euro game that I really found myself enjoying because of the it's this game where you're working together to stop water from coming in, but it's a very competitive game. And so whether you build the dikes or not is going to determine how the game ends. So each player is their own player board, but the water's coming in and you need to build a dike far enough to stop the water. You could let the water come through, but that's going to drastically affect the scores for the players at the end of the game. It's really neat. There's a lot of options in it. It honestly feels like an Uwe Rosenberg game. In fact, he kind of was the background and kept an eye on it. But a lot of fun. Definitely want to check out Lowlands. Number 48 is a game that was released at Essen. It's a game that doesn't look that fantastic, I suppose, but is a game that takes a lot of mechanisms from a lot of games and puts them together in a pretty fun way, and that is Dice Settlers. Also not maybe the best name for a game. Is it Settlers of Catan, but dice? No. In this game, it's a bag building game in which you'll be taking dice, throwing them into a bag, and pulling them out and then rolling them and using the actions on them, but the different colors have different actions. And then you're spreading out your tents and your buildings, and there's technology. Like I said, it's like a hodgepodge of mechanisms, but they do come together and work really well. I like this one a lot, Dice Settlers. All right, number 47 is a game that I think was on both Sam and Z's surprises of the year list. For me, I guess it was a surprise that the game was better than I thought it would be, and that's Magic the Gathering, Heroes of Dominaria. Now, this was a new board game. It had nothing to do with the Magic the Gathering board game that Wizards of the Coast did, which is unfortunate because that was a good game, but needed support, and they didn't do it, and I'm still angry. This one here is from WizKids, and it's a Eurogame version where you will start and you'll be moving a guy around the board, and you have different mana that you'll spend to take different actions and build things. It doesn't look great shakes of a stick to look at, although the miniatures are cool, but it plays really quickly. It's very cool. It has Magic the Gathering ideas in it, but it's not Magic the Gathering at the same time. It's a really solid game, and I wish this one got more buzz, because I think that it's I have fun with it to see how far I can go with this game. So Magic the Gathering, Heroes of Dominaria is my number 47. Number 46 is a reprint of an older game, but they made some graphical changes. And had the graphics been better, this one might be higher on my list because I really do enjoy it a lot. And that's Gungi Mono. So you can see here, it's a samurai style game. It was originally called Heartland, about farming, but now it's about putting samurais together, domino style. You're taking these tiles that you have, and you'll be placing them on this board. And you can see there's all different color samurais here, and making groups, and then taking control of a group, which will give you points in return. So you're scoring points into different colors. It's mean. I like mean. But this is still a lot of fun to play back and forth. And if you want a very interactive game that doesn't take long and really involved, you want to try this one out. Again, this falls in that category of Renegade just putting out a gazillion games. But if you notice, several of their games have made my list. And this one is a blast. A nice reprint of I was about to say classic, except I don't know many people have played it. But that would be Gungi Mono. Number 45 is a new game to me that I just played last week for the first time, but played it several times. I enjoyed it a lot. I like the artwork. The artwork attracted me to the game in the first place, as well as the designer with her previous game was Noria. This is The Boldest. So The Boldest is like some futuristic world setting where there's robots and bad guys, and I'm not really sure what's going on, but it's a pretty cool fantasy like world. It's neat art and stuff like that. But this game, what it is it's kind of like a big rock, paper, scissors style game. Each round of the game, you'll be taking a bunch of cards. There's a handful of cards with various people, warriors, technicians, and cooks. And you'll be placing them in piles and then revealing them. And if you send out the same piles as someone else, you may not actually get to do it unless you send out a bigger group. And then you'll be recruiting more people. You'll be going out and conquering things. And the theme is a little light in this one, but the gameplay is exceptional, and it's really quick. We're talking about a 45-minute game here, but it feels deeper than that, and it is a lot of fun. I recommend The Boldest. All right, that is, Boldest was number 45 to number 44. So number 44 is a game that originally was made as a joke at my expense. So this game, we'll just put it up here on the screen. Trade on the Tigress was originally, I think, called Trading in the Mediterranean, because Ryan Sturm and Jeff Engelstein said they were going to make a game that I liked that was about trading in the Mediterranean. Well, they did. This game is good. It is, obviously, it's my number 44 of the year. It is a game that there's a lot of trading going on in this. You are trading all sorts of back and forth items. There's all sorts of things that you can trade. You're trying to get goods to trade these in to get sets that you can score points with, but you also have special abilities and things and those you can trade with other people. There's just a lot of things that you can trade, and so it works better with bigger groups. And really fun game. They could have made the text and some of the cards bigger, but other than that, there's not a lot of complaints. Tasty Minstrel puts out a lot of fantastic games, and so yes, you can apparently make a game based on a joke, and that is Trade on the Tigress, my number 44. Number 43 is a roll and write game, except there's no writing. Instead, you are going to actually put pieces on the table, and that is Walls of York. So if you haven't seen Walls of York, it's a pretty fun game where you are basically going to be building walls around and building zones. Someone will roll a die each turn, and it will show you the shape of the walls that you need to build, and everyone's going to actually physically build these walls. So yes, this could have been a roll and write. You could have just drawn the lines on the map with a pencil, but actually physically doing this brings something to it, and has a triple dice tower. A triple dice tower. That's cool. But it's fun, Every time it's going to be a little bit different. You're trying to encompass some things that they're telling you to encompass by getting these coins and not getting the Vikings or the soldiers who are going to attack you. I don't think they're Vikings. I think they're soldiers. But an excellent game. Another one that's not talked about a lot, but I like it. Number 43, Walls of York. Number 42 is one of the biggest games on my list by far. It might be the biggest. A Kickstarter, huge Kickstarter, from a company that just, all their Kickstarters are big right now. I know this because there's one on Kickstarter blowing up. And this is The Edge Dawnfall. I didn't know anything about this game when it showed up, The Edge Dawnfall, but it looked really cool. And this is not even the biggest box. It's like one of their 2 sets. But in this box, there's a gazillions of stuff. Lots of miniatures. I mean, look at all that in one box. It's insane. But I was worried when I got it. I was like, oh, so much to go through in this game. It's going to be this big. It's a campaign game. But it's actually a light game. It's like HeroScape. You just get some guys on the board and you go around and fight each other. Really quick, fast and fun. The campaign is just kind of like, here, we'll use a few soldiers. Now you get a new soldier at it. I was very impressed with it. I mean, and the miniatures are beautiful. Awakened Realms is just doing some fantastic stuff in that regard. So definitely one to check out. Again, it's big, right? So some people are like, I'm not going to drop that money on a game. But if you see a copy, want to play it, it's not as overwhelming as this picture would make you believe. I liked it. The Edge Dawnfall, my number 42. Number 41 is a reprint technically, but it is a completely different game. 100%. If you've not played the new version of this game because you didn't like the old one, you should, because the old one was terrible. It was a cool idea, but it was terrible. Fireball Island. Yeah, the Curse of Volcar. Oh, I like this game. Now, is it a silly game? Yes. Is it a lot of toy factor in it? Yes. Is it probably geared more towards kids than adults? Yes. Do I like it? See other answers. It's just fun. I mean, you get a 3D mountain that's going to be rolling marbles out and knocking people over, and the marbles might go in different ways, and you can spend your cards to do different things, and there's bees and an expansion. Actually, they're hornets, and we know they're hornets, but we call them bees anyway, and there's a tiger, and it's fun. I played this with my kids, and everyone had a really good time. So if you want a game for your family that's just entertaining and will leave memories that they'll remember when they're an adult, definitely want to check out Fireball Island, The Curse of Volcar. All right. Now let's see, where are we at? That's the top 10. Let's look at some questions here before we get into the next ones. Tom, if you're willing to buy games like The Edge Dawnfall, you should start playing Warhammer Fantasy with Sam. That makes no sense. I don't want to play anything where I have to put miniatures together. I want to play Dawnfall, the game, it showed up. You put the pieces down, you played a quick game. It wasn't hard at all. There wasn't exceptions. There wasn't line of sight. There wasn't any of that nonsense. It was a board, easy to play, fun to play. I know my Warhammer, and Dawnfall, my friend, is no Warhammer. Let's see. Is Fireball Island a good game, or is it a great mousetrap? No, it's a good game. It's fun. It's not like a deep game, but every time I played it, I left having a good time, and you make fun decisions as you play it. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see here. People are talking about Sidereal Confluence there. All right. Well, I think I've caught up on questions right now. Let's jump to number 40. Now, number 40 is one of my most played games of the year. That's partially because me and Melody went to a homeschool convention and demoed this game there 100 million times, we count it. And that is Drop It. Now, Drop It is a game where you drop shapes in here like this. Yeah, it's the whole game. Okay, but every time I teach this game, people like it. I don't know that I've ever taught this to someone and they don't like it. So you drop these in and they can't touch the same shape, they can't touch the same color, they can't touch the outside of the board sometimes, depending on the sides and the bottom here, and it's a blast. It works well for 2, it works well for 3, it works well for 4. It works well in all those situations. It's best with 2 or 4. But when you play this game, you'll see that people first, they drop stuff in, and after a while they're sitting there going, and they're thinking and they're treating it like it's the most serious game on earth. It is a blast. It teaches geometry, teaches colors, teaches fun. I like this one a lot. Drop It. Number 39 is a party game, which, again, I think a party game, every once in a while I do this list and someone will be like, how could this game be above this big heavy Euro game? Because I had fun playing it. And this one's a really fun one. This is Decrypto. So Decrypto is a team versus team, communicate safely style game where you are trying to get your team to guess some words, all right, and giving them clues without giving that information to your team, to the other team. So you want to give them clues that are not super obvious, but at the same time not so obscure that your own team is like, I have no idea what they're talking about. And that makes it a really fun back and forth experience. You like code names and you want like a more gamery version of it, Decrypto is what you're looking for. Number 38. I was fortunate enough to be taught this game by the designer of it, and that is Empires of the Void 2. This is the second edition of Ryan Laukait's Empires of the Void, and oh my, it is a very different. It's not 2.0, it's like, well, I guess it is 2.0, but it's not like a 1.4 like a lot of second editions are. This one is a very different game, has different races, has a chance to get actual people. You're going around from planet to planet, upgrading your ship, upgrading your special abilities, finding and exploring unique things. Every game of this is different. It gives you that big, grandiose feeling to a space game can have without being overwhelming at the same time. So my number 38, Empires of the Void 2. Number 37 was one of the most amazing announcements of the year, and definitely one that was played a lot by everyone and is still being played, and everyone is now proclaiming either it's going to be the next big thing or saying no one will talk about this in a year. I think both of those are wrong, by the way, and that's Keyforge. Now, when Keyforge was announced, it blew my mind. A unique game. Every deck is different. What? Okay? And then I played it, and it was a very fun game. It's a good game. I don't care forget the distribution method. The game itself is fun. I have a lot of decks of Keyforge. They're fun to play. I won't deny it. It has nothing to do with the collectability point. I don't care if I get any more decks. I might not. It doesn't matter to me. It's just fun to take the deck and use these against other people. And it's interesting to me because I haven't seen a game where people seem to be hoping it fails. To the point where I am pretty sure that if Magic the Gathering was just announced and there was no such thing as a collectible card game, that there would be the same reaction towards it. I'm not saying this is Magic the Gathering. The unique card game may be the next big thing. It might not be. But Fantasy Flight is trying something cool. I like it. Didn't work with Discover. That's not my top 100. But I think it did work with Keyforge. So I like it a lot. All right, number 36. This is at this point, by the way, we're getting into games that I think are fantastic. Like over the top fantastic. So you're like, how can this be so low? Because that many good games came out in 2018. But number 36 is Teotihuacan, City of the Gods. Oh man, NSCAN is knocking it out of the park these days with some really cool things that they're doing. And this game where you're building this temple in the middle and you have this rondel where you're going to be moving dice around the outside of the board, and then the number on the die affects the action that you're taking, and you're trying to build this and move your token here and move your stuff up these tracks and get technologies over there and move this up here. It's cool. There's a lot. It's one of those games where there's like stuff to do everywhere, but I like it. So it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. It's, Danielle Tassini is a fantastic designer. I think that they will be known as one of the best designers in the world at this point. Of course, Zolkin in this now, but still a lot of great games, and this is a good one. So my number 36 is Teotihuacan, City of the Gods. And just slightly above that, and of course these could flip, I guess, in the future, number 35, another Euro game that I like a lot, and a Euro game, this one has like no theme. I don't even know what the theme is actually, and that's Coimbra. I think there's some sort of theme? I don't know. But these guys, I'm pretty sure a couple of these guys have worked with the last designer in the game. I'm not sure, but Coimbra is great. It's another game that uses dice. Dice in Euro games is like magic, except for Twa. Twa sucks. But Coimbra, you are drafting dice, and the color matters and the number matters. And then you'll be using those to get these cards, which give you special abilities to move up on these tracks. When you use these tracks, you get to do special things, and you're moving a guy around the board. This game has some Lorenzo and some Orleans Basically, you can see their influence in the game, but the game itself is really entertaining and fun. I like Coimbra a lot. Number 34 is a game in which you make combos. I love an engine building game. And this one also uses marbles. Most of the marbles are there just as resources, but hey, they're marbles. And that is Gizmos. Now, Gizmos looks cool, right? It's these marbles come down this ramp, and then you're using those marbles to take actions to buy more cards. But when you take an action, you also get all the cards that are underneath it. And then you get a number more cards, which make your other actions better. And sometimes this action will make this action go off, which makes this action go off. Woo-hoo-hoo! And I lose Gizmos all the time, because I get so caught up in making really cool things happen that I forget that maybe I should be winning the game. But it is a lot of fun to play. This CMON game is highly recommended for me. Number 34, Gizmos. Number 33 is a game that I originally, years ago, tried to get into the Dice Tower Ascension line. Things didn't work out, but it's finally published now, and I'm very pleased about that, and that is City of Gears. City of Gears is a game in which you are building like some amusement park city, and you're putting gears in it. Yeah, big shocker there. You have these robots, workers, and you're going to move them around, taking different actions, and you're drawing these gears, and these gears will upgrade your special abilities. They give you things, or you put them out on the board to help control areas and let your robots move more. So it's a cool choice. As you get each gear, you're like, ooh, do I use this for its special ability, or do I move stuff around on the board? And I like that thought. Also, great production. Gray Fox Games is continually knocking stuff out of the park. City of Gears. Number 32 is a very unique game. I don't believe number 32 is in America yet. I don't know even if it's coming, but I hope it does, from Blue Orange Games, and that is Planet. I just played Planet a few times last week. In 2 weeks, I taught to my wife. It's a lot of fun. Planet is a three-dimensional game in which you have this dodecahedron, and you are putting magnetic sides of a planet on it. You're drafting them and then putting them on this planet and making areas on the planet that you then score animal cards for and get points. That's the whole game. It's not complicated. It's 12 rounds. It's very easy, but it's fun. You're definitely competing with other players to try to have big areas of the different land types. It's so innovative and cool. I like it a lot. Planet. And then number 31, a game that's newer to me, but you know how I talk about surprises for games? This one did not surprise me because I expected it to be both educational and good, because this company makes all their games educational and they're all good, and that is Subatomic. Subatomic is a deck building game about building up atoms, and you need electrons and neutrons and protons, and you do that to build up your atoms, and you can also hire Einstein and some other people. There's Joseph J. Thompson, and you get special abilities and things like that, but it's essentially just a deck builder as you're slowly building up this deck to score these points here. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it teaches you something. I like it a lot. Subatomic, my number 31. All right, before I get to the top 30, let's see. Someone says, Tom, City of Gears is a game from 2012. Well, that's what Board Game Geek Database says, but I feel fairly confident that the game was just published like a month ago. The Kickstarter backers just got it. I promise you it's 2018. Let's see what else. Planet is my new gateway game, says Board Games with Nirmas. That's very, very true. A lot of people are talking about how they like Planet, and I really hope it comes to America because it's really fun. Then people are talking about Keyforge, whether they like it or not, blah, blah, blah. And, Keyforge isn't for everybody, but I'm just surprised the people who, if Keyforge isn't for you, that's fine, but there's people that almost get this sense of like, I hope it fails. Why? And even if Keyforge does fail, I don't care, because I have my decks, and they're not going to go away. Since the game isn't deck building, I don't need this constant recharging. The game is just fun to play as is. All right. Here we go. Starting with number 30. Number 30 was by far the most played game at both the Dice Tower retreats. I wasn't expecting it, but everyone it just got played consistently. I taught this game. I'm tired of teaching this game at this point, but it is a great game, and that is The Crown of Mineira. Now, this game here, the cover doesn't really tell you anything about the game, so let's look at the game. So in this game, you have these two rondels, and you're moving your folks around these rondels, and one rondel gives you resources, and one gives you points in various ways. It's a simple collect stuff and turn it in for points, but it's very satisfying. You play a card in your turn. That card will give you an action, and then it will let you move one of your people around the rondel. Simple, but a lot of depth in there. I'm very anxious to try out the variant where you mix up the boards and see if that makes my brain explode, but I like this one a lot. It's 45 minutes to 75 minutes, so about an hour game, and yet it feels like you played a good chunky Euro game in the mix there. If you haven't tried this one out, you want to do it. Crown of Amara. Number 29 is from Breaking Games. This is one of the hot genres right now, but I'm not sick of it yet. Is building cities. This is certainly one of those. Expansity. So Expansity, oh, that's a cool cover, by the way. Ooh. Anyway, Expansity is a game in which you are building three-dimensional buildings around the board. So you're going to build them, you're going to be taking controls of tiles, and that's the whole game. It's getting points about building these buildings. There's a difference between commercial and residential buildings, but also when you build next to special buildings, you can get points. And so like this one here gives +2 to commercial buildings, and you also have mission cards in your hand that will give you points if you do various things. So lots of fun. A simple game, but I think there's a lot involved with it. That's Expansity. Number 28, I just played for the first time, I think 2 weeks ago, and I think I played it like 5 times since then or so. It's so much fun, and it's because it combines 2 things I love: bag building and push your luck. And that's the Quacks of Quedlinburg. Terrible name, but I can never remember it. Well, I do remember it now, but I still call it quackity quack, 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 quack. But this game, you're a doctor making potions or something. And in this game, you have your own big potion thing, and you're drawing chips from a bag, and you want to draw them to go farther, but you also could explode at any point, which isn't horrific if you explode, but it's not amazing either. And then you buy more chips to put in the bag. In every game, the chips will be different from one game to the next. Wow, this was our second most played game at Dice Tower Retreat for sure. Everyone just kept playing it over and over. It won the Kennerspiel. I can see why. It's a lot of fun. I'm sure there'll be expansions for it. It's great. You should get it. Number 27 is another game that was kind of a surprise to me. It's a light combat game, kind of along the lines of Heroescape, and that is Wildlands. So Wildlands, I think Wildlands was the last game I taught at the retreat, maybe. Anyway, so Wildlands, each person has 5 characters, and you're moving around on this map. There's one, he's sitting there, trying to get your gems of your color. And you are going to be moving these guys around with a deck of cards. It's custom built for your faction. And you can only move someone if there's symbols on the card. You can only attack with someone if there's symbols on the card. So you're trying to save up cards to move the right people at the right time and go around and collect gems. It's like a fast-paced, entertaining dungeon twister style game. It takes less than an hour, great components, it's a lot of fun, and that's Wildlands, my number 27. Number 26, we have yet another party game. And this party game is just amazing. It's so much fun. It's called JustOne. So if you haven't played JustOne, the concept of the game is pretty simple. It's a cooperative party game. One person is trying to guess a word. So let's say the word here is chocolate. Okay, so there's the word chocolate. And everyone's going to write down a clue. So if I look at these clues, that's obviously chocolate. Belgian milk, white, sweet, dark hazelnuts. The problem is if multiple people write the same clues down, they're erased and the guesser doesn't get to see them. So sometimes the guesser might see just one thing, milk. Well, I wouldn't guess chocolate. I'd probably say cow if that was my only clue. It is really entertaining, fast, and fun, and you just play it over and over and over again. That is JustOne. All right, number 25 is an absolutely fantastic, amazing game that plays so quickly, and it just rolls and rolls. It's a great little stock market game, and that is Raccoon Tycoon. This was one that just really surprised me on how much I like this game. You are building towns and railroads, and you do so by just taking one quick action on your turn, which might be playing a card to give you resources and move them up, or sell those resources for money, or buy a building that gives you a special ability, or have an auction for one of the railroads, or use resources to buy a town. And it's boom, 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 boom. You move those actions fast, it's entertaining, and as soon as I'm done, I'm ready to play again. A lot of fun. My number 25, Raccoon Tycoon. Ooh, we're in the top 25, but my number 24 is another escape room style game. This one is fantastic, and that is Escape Tales: The Awakening. Now, this is a dark theme. When I talk to people about this game and going through it, this is a long escape room game. It's like 4 to 6 hours, but you can like save it. You don't have to play it all in one setting. And you can replay it. Other people can go through it. But you are a guy whose wife died a few years ago. Your daughter's in a coma, and you got to go. You're going into her soul or something to rescue her. It's very freaky. While figuring out a pile of puzzles. There's a lot of puzzles in the game. I want to say there's like 40, 50 puzzles in the game. There's a lot. And you don't even go through all of them depending, and you have branching paths and you get a different kind of ending. Really a neat game. You definitely want to check out Escape Tales: The Awakening. Number 23 is an abstract strategy game with unbelievably cool components. It plays well with 2 or 4, and that is War Chest from AEG. War Chest is a nice back and forth style game where you're pulling chips from a bag and putting these chips in a board, also strengthen these chips. Each one's different, so you'll start, they seem all very balanced. Like each one has one guy might be able to move an extra space, one guy does extra damage in an attack. You can stack them to make them stronger, but as the game goes by, you're eventually going to lose because there's going to be attrition on the board. And yeah, this is the kind of game, I play this over chess any day. War Chest. Number 22 is a really fun deck building game, a small one, which for sure is a copy of other games. But I don't care because I like it so much, and that is Shards of Infinity. This is from Upper Deck, not Upper Deck, Ultra Pro, and Stoneblade Entertainment. I like Ascension a lot, but I like Shards of Infinity better. Shards of Infinity, where you have these cards that once you get a certain number of experience, these cards will do things. It has mercenary cards, which when you buy them, you can put them in your deck, or you can just use them once, right then and there, and that's it. Some really cool decisions. It plays fast and fun. Your experience goes up and up and up and up and up as the game goes by. I like it a lot. That is Shards of Infinity. And number 21, almost at the top 20 here. Number 21 is a deduction game, which isn't as pretty as Treasure Island and other deduction games, but it's just straight, pure, awesome deduction, and that's Cryptid. Cryptid, which we ignore the cover, doesn't have anything to do with the game. This is the game board, and you are trying to figure out which of these tiles the Cryptid's on. You know one clue, so does everybody else. Your clues will point to one exact tile on that board. That's awesome. So a lot of fun, highly recommend it. You're just sitting there asking questions back and forth till you narrow it down. So that's my number 21, Cryptid. All right, let's take a break here and see if there's some questions people have been asking. City of Gears was self-published 6 years ago. Yeah, City of Gears was put up on Game Crafter, but I don't ever count those as a year of games published because it might have sold 3 copies. Have you heard of it before? I haven't really either. So those years never count as the year of publication. For us, it's the year an actual publishing house has published something. War Chest looks great. Strong Too Many Bones vibe with all those poker chips. Too Many Bones is a fairly complex, in-depth game. War Chest is a much quicker game. Someone wants to know, am I having expansions on this list? No, expansions will be a separate list that will go up tomorrow. People are talking about how great JustOne is. I agree. What do I think of the folded space inserts? For what game? I don't know what we're talking about. Alrighty. Well, here we go. Let's jump into the top 20. Number 20. Another game that was played a ton at the Dice Tower Retreat. A strong Euro game with quick turns and a quick playing time, but feels a good, deep economic game, and that is Smartphone Inc., which also, one of the things I like about Smartphone Inc. is it has a cool theme. So in this game, you are selling phones all over the world, and you're building these buildings in different spots and selling phones, and you'll sell them based on your price, or if someone has the technologies of your phone, and you're spreading out all over. And you do this by these 2 boards, and you put these boards on each other, and they tell you the actions that you're going to be able to take that turn. It is incredibly fun to play. It's very fast. Everyone's taking their actions at around the same time. Lower priced phones get to go first, so you can sell your phones before other people, but they get more money for them. Really great game. I hope to see an American production for it at some point. So that is number 20, Smartphone. Number 19 is in the Dice Tower Essentials line. So obviously, I think it's really good. This is a 2-player game called Critical Mass. So there are 2 different boxes. This is one of them here, the Patriot versus the Iron Curtain. And in this game, which is like a very glorified war-style game, you're each playing a card, flipping it. The faster card goes off first. But you eventually will try to play other cards or pick your cards back up or buy better cards to put in your hand as the game goes by and customize your mech over the course of the game and blowing up pieces of their mech. A lot of really cool, neat things. The mechs feel very, very different to them. I highly recommend this one, obviously. Great 2-player game, Critical Mass. Number 18. Now this is kind of an interesting one because I've been talking about my experiences with games and how I've had some great time like Grim Forest and other games, Villainous that I talked about. They were great games, but they weren't higher on my list, but how much I enjoy them. This next game is, I don't know how high I would put it on my list if I was playing with other adults. It probably wouldn't make my list at all. But when I play with the kids, I still have an amazing, fantastic time. The sequel to Mice and Mystics, Stuffed Fables. Stuffed Fables, where you get together a bunch of stuffed animals and you go through this story, this book, and you're fighting these evil, villainous creatures. Well, that's a piggy with his battle rattle. I love that. And you are just going through the book. The pages of the book are the space themselves. You're fighting bad guys, getting stuffing. You don't like fall to pieces and using things like scissors. It is such a good story time. It is such a exceptional experience that I've had bonding with my kids. Like my kids, there's a lot of kids games, and I'll be doing a top 10 kids list, and you'll see stuff like My Little Scythe and other great games on that list, I'm sure. But Stuffed Fables for me was the most fun I had also during the game. So that's Stuffed Fables. Number 17 is a really entertaining, I like dudes in a map style games anyway, and I also like Warcraft. And this game is Warcraft, the board game essentially, and that is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is a huge game, which is kind of funny because I've always gotten on the case of Game One Games because they make all these tiny epic games, which I don't feel are epic. They're tiny, but they're not epic. But Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is epic. This is like 1/20th of the board. Well, maybe not that small, but you build these guys, you have different races, and when you get the expansion, there's more races, and you're moving around and you're building and you're collecting resources, and each race is very, very specific in how you grow and expand them, and they get different special abilities, and it's like a race to see who wins. There's a lot going on in Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, but it is a lot of fun. I like the miniatures, I like the gameplay style, I like how someone else takes an action and then you can take actions too. It is a lot of fun. Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. All right, number 16. Whew. Number 16 is a game that I probably won't play again, although I did play it with my little kids, so maybe I'll finish playing it with them still. But it is Choose Your Own Adventure, House of Danger. This is just so much fun. I wasn't expecting a Choose Your Own Adventure game to be this good, and it was amazing. I mean, you go through Choose Your Own Adventure, and I don't want to spoil it for you, so this is like what the game looks like. You have this psychic scale and danger meter, and you're going through, and there's 5 chapters, and each chapter takes about 45 minutes or so, and you're reading and making decisions, and then you die and come back to life, and then you go through, but when you die, there's like some punishment for dying, and you're trying to get the best possible ending, and it is stupendously entertaining. It gets more zany. It was a really great, both nostalgic experience and fun to play with people for the first time. So that is House of Danger, or Choose Your Own Adventure. Number 15 is a game that, to me, makes me never want to play Splendor again. It's like a much better, cooler version of Splendor, and that is the King's Guild. So the King's Guild, which is a game in which you are basically a shop owner, and people are coming to your shop and buying stuff, and you are collecting resources on your turn, or you're fulfilling one of these quests, making them the stuff they need in a quest, or you're buying a building, or buying a worker, and the moves are like Just fast. I'll take resources. I'll build this. I'll take resources. I'll do this. I'll do this. And it's fast. It's very similar to Splendor in a lot of ways, but it feels like a much more expanded, much more fun game. I'm very involved in it. The theme works. The components are really cool. I like it a lot. And that is The King's Guild. All right, so that is number 15. Number 14. Another Plan B game. I think all the Plan B games this year are on my list. Feels pretty confident they are. This might be the last one here. But this game, simple game. To me, I know everyone's like all gaga over Azul, but I'd rather play this one any day. From Emerson, Reef. Reef, simple game. Take a card or play a card. When you take the cards, you just take a card. When you play a card, you put out a couple pieces on your board, and then you score. Although the scoring never matches the pieces you just put on the board. So you're trying to set up for your hand, like, I'll play these pieces, then score next turn. But if I play this card first, I could score this one. Ooh, which one will score me better points? It's simple, really cool, chunky pieces. I like it a lot. That is Reef. Highly recommend it. Number 13. I'm whispering it because I'm really not on Hydra's team, and in fact, I have yet to play this game where I was Hydra. But in Hail Hydra, it is a social deduction game where some people are Hydra agents and some people are not. And you're going to be different various good guys, not the Abomination, he's a bad guy. Bad guys show up and you're all working to fight him, throwing cards in the middle, and some people are obviously not fighting the Abomination because they are Hydra, and you need to figure out who they are. It is a great social deduction game. I don't normally like social deduction games a ton. I like them okay, but they don't normally go this high. This one's high for a couple reasons. Great components, Marvel comics, and it's just entertaining and feels like a short version of Battlestar Galactica. All right, number 12, another kind of party-style game. And this is another Dice Tower Essential game. Was called Teeth Taschen last year. The reprint is Good Critters, and they've actually changed quite a few things in Good Critters. But it's like a animal mafia theme, and you're splitting stuff, and you're sitting there and talking about who gets what and who's the boss each turn. The boss will split money, and then everyone votes on whether they get money or not. It is hilariously fun. You don't like what the boss said? Vote it down. Let someone else be the boss. You split up the money. Or maybe while you guys are all arguing, I'm skimming off the top. Really, if you never played this, this is great. Someone said when we played it, it was a cash and guns killer. I don't necessarily know that I would disagree with that statement. Good Critters. It's a lot of fun as you're trying to get money and then voting yes or no, or maybe attacking other players when they're not looking. It's really fun. Good Critters. And number 11, the game that just missed the top 10 of the year, is Architects of the West Kingdom. Now, for those of you who watched us do our top 10 of the year live, you might be like, wait a minute, that was your number 10. That's because between then and now, another game has cracked the top 10. So this was 10. It dropped down. Still great, though. Place workers, and the more workers you have in a spot, the better that spot gets. So, you know, if I put one worker here in the forest, I get a wood. I put a second worker there, I get 2 wood. I put a third worker there, I get 3 wood. I put a fourth worker there, I get 4 wood. I put a fifth worker, and wait, where'd all my other workers go? Well, you were annoyed, so you sent them all off to jail. What's wrong with you? That's what this game is great. Interaction, great art, lots of fun. Architects of the West Kingdom, my number 11. All right, let me quick look at some feedback from people. People were talking about Majolica is not on my list. Some people were asking about Majolica because I have not played Majolica, so it didn't make my top 10. So I have it, and I'll eventually play it. I just haven't got to it yet. All righty. Well, let's go to the top 10. Here we go. Number 10 is a great, and I'm going to go fairly quickly through these folks because you've already seen them in our top 10 of all time, so there's not a lot of surprise here except for the one that changed, right? So number 10 is Space Base. Space Base is a rolling dice game where you're going to roll dice and each turn, and then based on what you roll, you're going to get points and or money, and then you'll use it to buy more cards. As you buy more cards, the cards you replace get put here, and they'll give you money on other people's turns or points. Great game. I still want to win with the you will win card. It will happen. Number 9. is a cooperative game that I really like. Great production values, super cool theme, and that is The Reckoners. So The Reckoners is based on Brandon Sanderson's novels, where there's a bunch of human beings fighting people who have superpowers because they all went evil. And so in this game, you are working and going around the board and fighting against the villains. They're like just these, you have to figure out what their weakness is, take that weakness out, and eventually get the Steelheart and take him down. That's my number 9, The Reckoners. Number 8, give me a cowboy hat, because I like Western Legends. This game is an uber amount of fun as you are a cowboy or a sheriff or an outlaw or whatever you want to be. This is a sandbox style game where you're able to move all around the board and do various things. So you can go get gold nuggets, you can go rob the bank, you can go fight other players. Lots of cool things to do. That is Western Legends. Number 7 is a big, grandiose game called Lords of Hellas. Now, Lords of Hellas is lots of fun, not just because the box is full of plastic miniatures, although that doesn't hurt, but it's a really neat dudes on the map game where you're fighting for control over different regions. You're fighting over temples on the board, but you can also send your heroes and stuff off on quests and fight mega monsters. You can also build these giant statues on the board. There's multiple ways to victory here, and it comes together in just one fantastic, great giant game. That's Lords of Hellas. All right, number 6, a Euro game, a very heavy Euro game, but a good one, and that's Underwater Cities. Underwater Cities, you are building an underwater city. And so in this game, you are taking actions. You're going to pick one of these slots around the outside of the board. That's the action you take, and you play a card. Now, the card doesn't do anything unless it matches the color of the action you took, and then you get to do the action on the card too. So usually you want to match them. Can't always do that. And then as you build cards, they will let you do things. When you do this action, do this. So a lot of people like Terraforming Mars, also like this game because it has some similar feel to it. It's really neat, Underwater Cities. All right, number 5. This is one of the most popular games of the year for sure, with 4 different factions in the base game and more as it comes out. It's a war game disguised as a clever animal cute game, and that's Root. Root is a game in which you play one of 4 different factions: the cats, the woodland sheriff and Robin Hood dudes, the birds, and this traveler dude who's a real pain in the neck. And you're just going to go around the board. Each of you has different ways that you're going to win the game, different ways to get victory points. You all play very differently and yet kind of the same at the same time. It's pretty neat. And then there's an expansion which adds even more factions which do even different things. Highly recommend it. Root. All right. Number 4 is the new game that just got added all the way up to number 4. I think I played it 6 times in the last 2 weeks. I had so much fun with this game, and that is Vindication. Vindication is a Euro game disguised as an Ameritrash game. It's really, I mean, in this game you are a guy who gets thrown overboard and land on this island here, and then you need to go and explore this island and become vindicated. And you go around, you get cubes, and you fight monsters, and you get traits, and you go to get artifacts, and you find companions who help you and do fantastic things. And all that sounds very like do, but it's really trying to be efficient. And the game takes like an hour, maybe 70 minutes or so to play. Has great components. It's so much fun. I could say a lot more about this, but my review is going up tomorrow. Watch it. I love this game, Vindication. All right, number 3. And I mean, honestly, Vindication is hovering to go even higher. That's how much I like it right now. Number 3 is Thunderstone Quest. Thunderstone Quest, of course, the reprint of Thunderstone Advance was a reprint of Thunderstone, but it's different enough. It feels like it's its own game now. It's a deck building game where you are collecting cards, building your own deck to then go out on quests. But now they have pieces, and now they have a special cool treasure deck with a card only you can get, and a gazillion different cards that are in the game. And there's so much. This game is so huge and big and fun, and it feels like a dungeon quest more than a deck building game, and I like that. So that is my number 3, Thunderstone Quest. Number 2 is so much fun. Chronicles of Crime. This is a game in which you are going around solving a mystery, trying to figure out who did it, who. I mean, it's like NCIS or Law and Order, and you're using a phone or an iPad or something and scanning these codes. So I might ask this guy about her. I might ask her about, well, I wouldn't ask about the science, but I might ask her about him. I might ask her about this. I might ask her about this. I might ask her about that. And as you put more and more cards out, the combinations are great, but you don't have unlimited time. So you got to ask the right questions to the right people. And once you ask someone something, you might go, wait a minute, maybe we should go search this location for a clue. And then you can look at your phone and do VR and look around the location for clues. It's cool. And then finally, Chronicles of Crime, number 1, Rising Sun. Rising Sun, what a great game. This game to me, which I like better than Blood Rage, with gigantically cool miniatures, like these guys with baskets on their head. At a big game board, you go around, you fight each other on the map. It's just a lot of fun in general. There's negotiation, a little bit of that, but just the battle system is one that I like a lot. This game, I saw it played a lot this year, huge maps and miniatures, and I think we'll still be talking about it years to come. So my number 1 game from 2018 is Rising Sun. All right, with that being said, before I shut down here, let's see if there's any questions from you all real quick. Let's look. People were asking where different games are. They were on a list. Oh yeah, my nose. Sorry. For some reason, my nose is like super itchy. I don't know what the deal is. So I apologize that I keep scratching it. I used my hat to scratch it. I wasn't blowing my nose with my hat. I was just scratching my nose. My nose! I don't know what the deal is. So, sorry. How likely is it that if Vindication came out several months ago and Root just 2 weeks ago, their positions would have been swapped? Well, I mean, are you saying so Cult of the New type thing? I don't think so. Root's a great game and I like it a lot and it's really neat. But Vindication is like, I can't explain. It's like my sweet spot. I like everything about that game. Did I skip number 12? No? Oh, it was a mistake on the slide? All right, sorry. But I said it right. Who made the mistake? I'm when I made the slides. Did Billy Kerr come close to making the list? Not really. I think Billy Kerr is an interesting game, and there's a lot of unique, cool things that it does. But it's not like a favorite game of mine from the year. When is the family list coming? I'm not sure. They're all on the schedule. You can go look and see what events we have coming out. Should I get Rising Sun if I have Blood Rage? I think they're very different games, honestly. I have both. How do the minis compare in Lords of Hellas and Rising Sun? At this point, I would say they're even, but when you look at the minis in Nemesis, those minis are amazing. What was the game in 2018 that you wanted to play most, but you didn't get to the table? I got almost every game that I was dying to get to the table. I'm trying to think. Well, U-Boat didn't make the table, or whatever it's called, because the app's not done yet. So I don't even think that's a 2018 game. I didn't play Arkham Horror yet. I would like to play that one. I suspect that might have made my top 100. You have a lot of very similar games. Maybe. But again, I feel that Blood Rage and Rising Sun are not that similar. Seems like Nemesis, everyone's worried about my Nemesis review. No, Nemesis is, you'll have to wait for the review. It's coming out this week. I'll be talking about Nemesis. I'm not trashing Nemesis. In fact, I have a lot of really good things to say about it, but what exactly, we'll talk about that in that review. They released U-Boat without the app being ready. I don't know if U-Boat was released or if I just got an early copy. It may not be released. Do you think Lords of Waterdeep and Architects have a lot of similarities? A few. Where does the Mind rank for you? It didn't make my top 100. There's a lot of games I enjoyed that didn't make my top 100. Like here's a few, for example. Tower of Madness and Lightning Run and Gingerbread House and Crystal Clans and Bad Bones and Smell Snatchers and Right Cold and Petrichor and Symphony No. 9. And I like all those games a lot. Those are just some of the ones that didn't make the top 100. And things could change a lot. But the main reason I made this was because I wanted people to see that there was that many good games that came out over the year. Alone didn't make my top 100, no. And Alone, I'll have a review of that in a week or so, or maybe 2 weeks, but I will be reviewing that one. Alrighty. Oh, and I didn't play Brass, but I don't expect that Brass would. Brass, the original game, wouldn't have made my list. I don't know that Brass Birmingham would change my mind, but you never know. Okay, well, folks, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching my top 100 games of all time. We'll be live again tomorrow, or I'll be live again tomorrow with my top 10 expansions. And then the next day after that, we'll be doing our top 10 gaming experiences of 2018. I'll see you guys then. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the top 100 games of 2018 on the Dice Tower.